Okay, and I'm back. Sorry, I had to reorganize a few things in here. Um, so Zoidberg's head's basically done. I'm still kind of futzing with the eye focus, but with this small a pupil, which I've never used this small before, it's tough to really know where they're. This one's a little low, I think. Of course, this could change at any moment. So I swear I got these things in the right spot last night. It's a little bit better. All right, so there he is. He's an interesting, puppet to manipulate. I still haven't really found his voice. Not that I'm real comfortable doing yet. But I guess when he talks, he'll talk like, how's it going? And then he needs to loosen up a little bit here. But he looks pretty good. I like when he does that sort of thing. You can kind of do hang loose, whatever. This is Ben Franklin's body. This is the same pattern as what I used for Ben Franklin. I think it's too small, so I'm gonna make a new body from scratch, I think, and bulk them out a little bit. So first thing I want to do is I want to get out a reference, and I also want to get my sketchbook. So 1 second. So I do a lot of my work in the sketchbook phase. So let's yeah, I've been looking at Phil Fletcher's Popeye and Charles. I'm gonna say Jagger, but I think it's Hager, Donald Duck, and trying to figure out how I would do that. So again, always thinking ahead to the next thing as opposed to keeping my mind on what I was doing. And yes, I have the window open. So Zoidberg. So you can see how big his body is compared to that. So if I'm going to okay, so that's what I built so far. Of use it a little bit. So that's what I built so far. And that's my hand is in here, like so. Wrist comes down to about here. So that means I have about that much of my arm that I can use in here. And right now, I think judging from this, I'm putting his body at about here, which I think is a little on the small side, quite a bit on the small side. So what I'd like to do is maybe not do as much of his body, but widen it out. So I'm just doing the kind of the, if you look at Homer Simpson's body, which is kind of, I feel like the distant cousin of Zoidberg here. He has what they call a light bulb body. It's kind of, his head goes up here, makes the Homer part. And I think that's the shape I want to get. I want to get almost like a Coke glass or light bulb area. And I might make it so that I could add a area down here if I wanted to. The problem what you end up having when you're designing stuff like this is you want to be able to pivot here. You don't want to lose this joint, and you don't want to have to only be able to do it above your head like this. So I kind of want to keep in mind where my elbow hits there, and still have the ability to manipulate the head. So the other thing is that, you know, from the front, he does have more shoulder than I usually put on a puppet. So I kind of feel like I almost need to do more like that. Oops. So maybe I'll show you the view I was talking about. He has more of a shoulder here than I usually draw, or build on a puppet rather than this. So I think I'm going to have to figure that out as well. So I think the final shape I'm going to go for, have a neck opening with a little bit of a taper out, kind of like that is what I'm going to try and do. So as far as what I have built, oh, Jaeger. Oh, okay. Yeah, I try. You'd be surprised how many people mispronounce Troop or Steven. I go by Steve because I got so sick of people calling me Stefan that it just made it easier for everybody. I'll try to remember Jaeger. I think I might have gotten it right once or twice before, but and hey TC and hey Charles. Okay. So I'm thinking that it's going to be. I'm thinking that this is my thought. I'm going to start with a pattern shape. It's kind of like that. I think about 6 or 8 of these. We'll see where it goes. So there's that. Get my phone out of there in case I get a phone call. Oh, hello, the gang's all here. Okay, so let me get a piece of foam. And I'm just going to do a gross, approximation of one panel right now and see if I get close to what I need. So I'm thinking it's going to be that might be too small. Yeah, I think it's too small. Now let me draw what I let me put it on camera. I'm trying to figure out. It needs to even be longer than that. Okay, let's cut that out and see what we get. Oops. There we go. And this is still the upholstery foam, or back to the upholstery foam. Yeah, it's kind of a pear or a light bulb shape. I know in the Simpsons model sheets they say he has a light bulb shaped body. Okay, so let me see. Scoot him over. So there's a shot. He may not even been in shot when I was talking about him before. Okay, so there he is. I think, of course, there's not enough room for him to actually. Ah! So let me see. That I might want to have taper in more than, or be almost straight. I guess we can see what 6 of those do. And again, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Thank you. Well, I mean, I was a cartoonist long before I was a puppet builder, I guess. In fact, I did go back. I did start thinking about Melon Pool Mondays, about drawing Melon Pool again on Mondays, and see how that's going to go. But I started really thinking about my setup and how I needed to do it. And maybe next week I can do that. But yeah, I really wanted to be a cartoonist. There's a whole art to that as well as, you know, where you you know, have to think up the gag and then paste the gag and rewrite. That's a horrible pen. Not a blade. Yeah, my friends a lot of times are like, you ever going to give up on Melon Pool? I mean, one of the main reasons I stopped drawing it was because it just took over my life. I mean, that's all I would talk about. That's all I would do. And it just really never got me anywhere. Okay, so now I got 2 of them. Get some more foam. I could just cut them all out on the bandsaw, but what fun would that be? I'm going to get rid of this, though, before yes, very much so, and that's why I've been thinking about doing Popeye for years. In fact, anybody who's taken my class online, I always use Popeye as a you know, how to design a cartoon character that would never work as a puppet into a puppet. And yeah, I've got some ideas. I got some ideas on how to put my own spin on Popeye. Although I think Phil is doing a great job. Ooh, what did I do? Yeah, I was showing this before. Maybe you guys already saw this, but all my little drawings of Popeye and Donald Duck. I mean, Popeye was one of the first things I ever learned how to draw, and which is why it's my go-to. I get so easily distracted here. I mean, Popeye was, you know, basically, you know, let's see. And that was the way I used to draw him when I was a little kid. You know, it was pretty fast. In building a puppet version of Popeye, what I would do differently than what Phil is doing is, instead of having the mouth be just a flap, I would build up the skin with a roll here so that when you opened it, it would kind of expand out to do that sort of thing, like Popeye's mouth does. That would be the main difference I would do. The other thing that's weird about Popeye is he's in perspective. So it makes one jaw look huge and the other one look small, depending on which way his head is tilted. So that's another consideration. I mean, I think his face kind of looks like that. Nose here. I think that's Popeye. And depending on which Popeye you're doing, depends on which side his eye is squinted on. The original Fleischer ones were this eye, and then the ones where they did it, the color ones that were always on in the afternoon had his other eye open, his other eye shut. So again, will the real Popeye stand up? Oh, fantastic! Yeah, that's a good project. I can't wait to see your progress. Excuse me. Yeah, always when you're using a razor blade, make sure the pencils are out from underneath. Oh, let me. So I got 3 of them. And, you know, this may not even work, but at least I tried it. Thank you. I should be at yoga right now, but we had some rain earlier this week, and it always messes up my hip. So I just have to let it dry out a little bit. Okay, I got 5 of these guys now. I think I'm going to need 6, but we'll see. Yeah, it is 1/2 inch. I pretty much only work in 1/2 inch. I have a couple of sheets that I've had forever. So the shop closed in 2012 ish, thereabouts, maybe 2013, and I got a sheet of, I think, 2-inch L200. I still have pieces of that I use on things because I just use it for noses, and it's kind of too big for anything else. Okay. All right, so there's my 6 booze bottle looking things. Okay, where's my? And I did finally open my new barge, And let me get a piece of paper. Yeah, I worked on I did a couple things yesterday. I worked on a side project where they don't want to have it on videotaped because they are concerned about their intellectual property, which is fine. I should have charged extra, but so I didn't film that and didn't go on for because of that. But I also went to Joann's. I hadn't been to Joann's since they announced they were going out of business. It was pretty much about probably a third gone. They still had stuff on the racks and stuff, but it was picked pretty clean. I mean, not that I use yarn on anything, but I went through the yarn aisle and there was maybe one or two bins still had yarn in it. The rest of them were picked completely clean. I went to the fabric section. I found one bolt of a blizzard fleece. All the other fleeces were either a pattern or didn't have any bolts left of. I found one bolt of a light orange that I've been looking for that color since I basically started puppeteering, because it is actually a decent color to use for skin on things. But I also needed something light to pattern, and that's really all I use blizzard fleece for anymore is patterning. I bought, it was $12.99 a yard when it was originally there. I bought 8.5 yards for I think it was $2 a yard. It was so discounted. I got the whole bolt. I think it was just under $20 for that bolt. So that was great. And then I found a remnant for Zoidberg's the green part. It's not perfect, but it's something. At least you won't be naked. All right, back to our story. Oh, cool, Charles. Yeah, I'm still. I was actually pretty happy with the way these light bulbs worked out for his eyes. Not that I can't see the benefit of casting as well. Let me shut my door. I'll turn on the fan. So that way none of you can hear what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh. There we go. Oh, cool. Yeah, I need to start figuring out an iMac as well. I really have to start figuring out that Gonzo build I was talking about. If I ever get around to that. Picking up thread.
Tell you what, one thing about new barge is it's so liquidy already. I think I like it a little bit thicker. That same thread. I probably should. You know what? I should probably put this piece on the inside. Otherwise, it's going to be super distracting. There's that piece of thread again. Okay, this thing is either going to be
so big that it's unusable, or it's going to be just slightly small, and I'm going to have to add material to it, but we'll see. Or it's going to be the completely wrong shape. Oh, I didn't put the shoulders on it. There's no shoulders. I'll have to add some material to figure that out. Ah, this thread. I purposely swept off my areas, my workspace, so that I didn't have all these stray pieces of thread. And that one just keeps killing me. Not that I actually throw it away. Oh, okay. See you later, TC. Okay, this is 4 sections right now. Yeah, I think it's going to need some good adjustments here. But it does look like a light bulb. Put glue in this piece. Okay. I think his it might be a little bit big, but I mean, let's see. I'm not used to having to deal with that chat thing. I probably let me just make sure it's all dry. The other thing I want to do is I want to put a plug at the bottom here. No, it looks. All right, so what have we learned? He needs shoulders. He needs a slightly different thing, and he needs to be trimmed up just a little bit on his body, but it's starting to get there. All right, so, oops, not that I can get this out of here without destroying it. Okay, so I think what I want to do first is I want to address that shoulder problem. So what I'm going to do, first off, I'm going to move its neck down a little bit. And this just comes from me doing it as many times as I've done this sort of thing. You get to the point where you know if you take something out here or add something there, it's going to alter the shape. I'm going to also kind of taper down a couple of these. See what that does. Yeah, you're just seeing the back of it, I know. I'll probably end up making it so it's exactly like the one I had before, but we'll see. All right, so here's where I'm starting. I tapered the front of his neck a little bit, and then I took 3 wedges out of the front here. So I'm gonna reglue. No, I don't think so. I'll tell you what I was thinking about was, I have one right here. You could almost build it on one of these guys. I don't know if I want to, though. I think I'll just make him a regular rod puppet. There's no really easy way to hide this, this mess. That's actually left over from the bear when I was building that bear. Put them back together. Okay, so he needs to get his little butt taken care of here. These are pretty good. Okay, let's take care of that butt. And a lot of times, and I should have done it before I did it, but you can squeeze the area to see what needs to be removed. It still needs to be routed out a little. And the shallower the curve, the more it'll lay down. Okay, that's looking better. I'm still going to have to add some material to the sides here to give him some shoulders. So I'll probably do that next too. In fact, I can start to do that right now. What I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to put a slit and then add some material here. And then when it gets curved back, when I take some wedges out, it'll cause the shoulder to kind of close up. So I'm going to take a wedge on both sides. Again, I hope this isn't completely mystifying as to what I'm doing here. I mean, it makes sense to me, and I'm trying to explain it the only way I know how. All right, on both sides here. I love that every time I post on Twitch, all I get is spam about getting more viewers.
And my floor just gets covered in foam as I do this. I don't honestly know that putting the shoulders in will do anything. It will help it, but eventually I'll find it. Usually I make the shoulders up on the arms, like the upper arm kind of forms the shoulder.
Okay. Put together his butt. I also want to make a big round piece that will basically lie flat on the bottom of this. I'd probably make it out of L200 that has a hole about the same size as the ring on Zoidberg's body here, so that way it'll have a place to seat into when I'm attaching the two pieces, because otherwise it's not gonna. Well, that's great. Otherwise, it's not going to seat easily, and it's going to be a mess. But I just got to remember to do that. Okay, so I just needed more material up here to make that go up. The lower body's starting to look good, though. Still need to maybe taper that butt a little bit more. Okay. So what I want to do, let's see if there's a view that actually makes sense. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to be able to curve this in like so. You know, kind of find that spot. So I kind of think I need to basically just take out what I put in there just now. Okay. Let's see what that does. So I don't know if you can even tell what I'm trying to do here. There's that thread again. Okay, they're starting to kind of come together there. Okay, so now I just got to do that same thing on this side here. And it'll all even out when I do the final truing up, but just trying to find the shape. Yeah, I haven't done a whole lot of the. Oh, hey, Josiah. I haven't done a whole lot of the donut type. Okay, so at least he's getting some shoulders now. I'll take care of the new head opening once I get that figured out. All right, where's my book?
It kind of seems it's appropriate to make a Homer Simpson body that incorporates a donut of some kind into it, right? Eh.
And I ordinarily don't use the hairdryer when I'm building the real ones, at least not most of the time. But I'm trying to do this as fast as I possibly can. Okay, so now he needs a new neck. Let's see. So he's got that weird thing, but he's starting to get shoulders now at least. So. And it's a little off center. Okay, so now, I mean, it's lopsided, but I'm just keep cutting away till there's nothing left. There's that. Okay. I think that's getting pretty close. So at least the next step, which is truing it up and putting it back together to see if it works. It's just a fun project. I may put them up on eBay. I haven't decided. I tell you what, I was sitting there and I was thinking about it. And I'm like, I wonder if anybody's ever tried this, and I couldn't find any evidence that anybody's tried this way. Closest I came to it is did a thing with animatronics in a mask at one point. That, I mean, it was pretty good, I guess. It was a different way of doing it. But I cannot believe how off. But I thought, I wonder if it would even work. I wonder if that's why nobody's done it. And I was able to figure it out, I guess. So, okay, let's see. Okay, so that's looking more. Got to get on the ground. So I think he needs more bulk up at the top. I think this is about right. Okay, to give him more bulk at the top, what do I need to do? And in person, the funny thing is it doesn't look as big as it is. So that needs to... I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing here. As if it's not abundantly clear, I never know what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, I kind of think if I push these out, and you can kind of see by putting those slits in there, if I fill those spaces with foam, it should open that up enough to broaden out those shoulders a little bit. So let's see. So I'm just going to make some quick wedges. Just need 3 about the same size. And I've got plenty of foam on the ground here that I can use. Okay. 3 wedges. Put the mask back on.
Now I'll probably have to add more material to the neck now because I've changed the shape of the head or the body. What I probably should be doing actually is
adding wedges that go all the way down to where this body starts to taper in. In fact, I may end up doing that. It'll make a much smoother transition if I do that. Okay, so now I think what I'll do. This may be ruining everything. I'm just cutting a wedge out of the shoulders here. Okay. Again, the camera's set up in such a way that I cannot show you a darn thing. I think what's ended up going to happen is I'm getting pretty close to the point where I need to take this thing apart and make and true up the pattern and see what needs to be added and removed at that point.
And they work very messy, and then I get more and more clean as it goes along. He's gotten very lopsided shoulders now. I took too much out of that side. And since I took too much out, I'm just going to put a little bit more back in. Okay. It's a mess.
It's a mess, but it's my mess. And I think it's probably ready to be. I mean, I'm liking some of it. I'm not liking some of the other parts, but it'll all even out in the wash. Like I think this one's a little too round and this one's a little too pointy, but I think the halfway point between the two of those will even it out. I probably should figure this out, this part. I like the slope of that. I like the way that works. Okay. Let's see how it looks with the head. I think that's a little bit closer to proportion. It's still not quite big enough, but I don't want a humongous puppet to deal with either. It's still puppeteerable. I think that's going to work. I think that looks a lot better than the original one, which I was going to use, Ben Franklin. So there's the Ben Franklin. You can see how much smaller that is. Once you add the material and the arms, it will be right. Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing you're always doing is you're always trying to remember to keep things just a little on the small side because the material does change it quite a bit. You can see the difference between these the size of these two bodies, and the shape too. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put a piece of L200 at the bottom here with a hole cut out, and then I'm also maybe gonna put Velcro on the bottom of this so that I can put a bottom section on, make the round part of the bottom of his body. I don't know. Do I have? I was pulling a pattern off of one of those foam balls. I mean, that's almost the right size. If you want to see that, that would be basically his whole body. I might just make one of these out of foam and make a little pair of pants with another hole in it. So if I really want to have a puppet that goes to here, I'd have the whole body. But I don't know. Okay, well, I guess get rid of that. Here's my graveyard of Zoidberg's heads. Okay, let me cut this out. Let me true this up. Okay, so this is the center line. I'm gonna put a couple of marks there, and I'll put a couple of. Okay, cut this guy in half. Tell you what, these Teflon scissors have been awesome for this sort of stuff because scissors get gummed up so fast in these things. Okay, so I want to try and relax this as best I can. I should put registration marks, but I'm going to try and get it to lay flat. That works pretty well. That's still... Yeah, that one I don't need to do. So there's one side. I'll try and cut it in the same spots as I did on this side. Did I do that? Flatten out pretty well. All right. Like I said, it starts out real ugly and it gets less and less ugly with each version of this thing. But yeah, I do use up a lot of foam. I should try one of the ones. I mean, I have some monster clay. I should try to mold a body and try pulling a pattern off of that and see what I get doing that technique. Or what I really should do, Charles, is we should get on here at the same time, and we should both approach the same puppet and in real time show people. Actually, I'm not ready for foam. Show people the techniques that we use to come up with the ends using the way that we work. Yeah, it would save me on the foam. I think maybe I could go to doing the bodies this way, with the foam or with the clay. I feel like with the heads, I get a lot out of being able to test out the movement as I build it, so I can adjust for that as I go. But maybe I'm just stuck in my ways. I don't know. This is big enough. Just big enough. Actually, we should do it with a bunch of us. Like Josiah would work one, I would work another. Maybe get somebody who does it. Charles, you did another, and maybe if we could find somebody that did built puppets with by doing it in the computer and then spitting out a Pepakura pattern. Maybe get somebody who does that, and we all do the same puppet, and just however techniques that we use regularly to do it, and then we have kind of a face-off or some sort of challenge type thing where we all present our various things. Maybe we all do a convention together or something. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I am kind of a visual. Also, I mean, I can sculpt, but I don't get a lot of enjoyment out of sculpt. I do get a lot of enjoyment out of finding shapes. So maybe that plays into it as well. Yesterday, I thought my eye had backslid. Like I saw this big blurry area in my vision for a good chunk of the day. And I was kind of freaking out because I didn't see anything on my glasses lens, but I could see it when I had the glasses on. But sure enough, I really looked close, and there was a barge blur, like a little bit of barge that had gotten on my glasses and left a blurry mark. So thankfully, it wasn't anything else going wrong with my eyes. Still was scary. Yeah, I think the computer would be most accurate, but I also think that it will be the most complicated. I think that the people who, basically go by the computer have a lot more darts and pieces and everything else, and that's one of the things that I do with this process is I simplify things as best I can, just to make it repeatable and is easy on me. Like I always try to get it down to 2 pieces if I can. Sometimes you can't because and I didn't put my tick marks on. You can't always because you end up you end up having really hard edges. You have to have a seam. So like muzzles, a lot of times you'll have to have a separate piece for. Or if you have a brow ridge, a lot of times you'll have to have a separate piece for. Um, but if any organic shape that I use, I try and get it down to 2 pieces if I can. Ooh, this is a big chunk. So there we go. You can see how off they were. Okay, I'm going to draw on here because it is getting a little confusing for me, but I'm just going to draw the halfway point between the 2 lines. And usually I can get the shape that I'm looking for in 2 of these passes. Like a lot of times I'll build this version of it, and there'll be a couple things that aren't quite right, so I can make adjustments to it. But usually I don't go too much more than that. This is where it gets really confusing. So this dot and this dot are the same dot, so it needs to be right about there. And then this one and this one, wait, this one and, where's that one go? Oh, it's right there. Okay, so that, where is that one? There's that. Oh, I have 4 on one and I don't have any on the other. Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's do the other ones. That. I think I am still going to put that dart in there. I think it needs it. Let's see how that works. Yeah, I had fabrics collected from Mayberry for a good 12 years or so until I finally, I think I bought it out of remnants at Joann's when I was about 13, and I didn't actually build it till I was 22. So that was 9 years. I think a lot of it's just sitting down and doing it, like not being afraid to fail, or wanting to do it perfect the first time. I don't really worry about that, obviously. See, I can already tell that's not going to be right, so I'm just going to, well, no, maybe it might be. All right. That, believe it or not, should be our pattern, at least for this version of it. Ah, what a mess. One color is perfect, blue jeans, which is be perfect for retro style Martian. Second one should be orange. Were you able to find the right type of fabric? I mean, or something similar? Like I was pretty happy. Like I found the original. I'm pretty sure it's the same fabric that they used, different color for Strangeport's outfit, and then eventually I did find the correct color of it as well. But that can be a major hurdle, just finding the right type of fabric or something similar. Okay. Just want to make sure it doesn't come off the page here. Okay. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I kind of wish I could figure out what the hat, because they said in some documentary that those Yip Yip aliens were made from some lady's hat in the 1960s or 70s. And it'd be interesting to see what the original hat looked like, so you could maybe figure out the pattern from that. But who knows? It's all fabric, though. I don't think there's any structure in there, is there? Foam structure? This doesn't. I don't think there's enough fabric or enough foam to do it this way. Let me see if I can figure this out. Okay. Oh yeah, please do. I think once this live stream is over too, you'll be able to post pictures, and you can put pictures in the feed if you want. Unless you don't want to give away all your secrets. I think you can learn a lot from making replicas. I don't like to do them for other people, but I don't mind doing them myself. I don't know if would this one even be considered a replica though, because I'm completely changing the medium. I kind of feel like the same with C-3PO, that I don't really see him as a replica as much as I see him as another version of him. My take on him. Like I don't think of your ducks, Charles, as being so much replicas as just a whole new way of expressing them, you know. Yeah, very much so. I was, I have all the patterns from the multiple puppets. I've kept them all these years, and I was thinking about Ralph in that I need to rebuild him, and I've learned so much since I built him last time. It's going to be a completely new build from scratch, pretty much. I might be able to make the original head the way I built it, and then start modifying it from there. But to build it from those old patterns would be crazy because I've learned so much as far as the way to construct stuff better and all that. Now I never throw away the prototype in case something goes until after I finish this version of it. In case something horribly went wrong when I was patterning it before, or was cutting it out before. So at least I can go back. I don't have to start from scratch. Where I do run into problems sometimes is, even though I'm pretty meticulous about labeling puppets, patterns, and keeping my patterns all together, I'll end up with everything but one piece. Like I'll be missing the bottom mouth palate or something like that, and so then you end up with like I've got most of it. Still got to figure out what to do with this part. That was something that was really instilled in me when I was in the shop, though, was making sure that I labeled everything, dated everything, marked where pieces went together. Just because I know what it does right now doesn't mean I'll know in 5 years what that piece is for. It's kind of like, on a computer when you're naming files and whatnot. That when I was on the newspaper staff in college, we get stories that would be based, stuff like today's sports story or something I wrote would be the file names of these things, and it would just cause a lot of time and effort of us trying to put the paper together at night to find these people's stories. So I think that instilled in me a kind of a want to keep stuff as neat as possible while I do it, as meticulous as possible. As I talk about that, Zoidberg body foam, half-inch foam, times 2. Today is 428. 28 or 29? 29, 25. Dart, dart, dart. This is the front, the back. Dart. All right, there's one. No, Ralph is the mad scientist. Sammy's the guinea pig. And I know it's confusing, but there's a Sam, there's a Sammy, there's a Ralph, there's a Ralphie. And Sammy is the hamster, the giant hamster. Sam is the dog. Ralph is the mad scientist, and Ralphie is his evil twin, who's actually a nice guy. And that's what you get for creating a comic strip when you were, 6 to 13 years old. All that stuff made sense when I was a kid.
The Ralph that I made, the last Ralph that I made, had an iMac in it. It kind of worked. It worked better than any iMac I had built up to that point. Although the hand grip was a chamber of horrors, I used to always say. There are all these like places in there where if you didn't have your hand right in the right spot, the mech wouldn't work anymore. So those are the type of things that I want to improve on the next version. It would have been nice if I still had the original. That was the one that got stolen. Putting a lot of glue on this thing.
Fresh tin can. You mean a new can of barge? Is that what you're talking about? Okay, let's see how this thing goes together. Ah, that's pretty funny. I think it's Walrus Man. Yeah, that I finally got it finished off that last can of barge I was working on. I kind of think this pattern's not going to work after all this. I don't know if it's going to work. Might be close. All right. So this is what I got. Kind of lost the shoulders in there, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. Actually, I think if I just taper that, it'll bring them back out. I think if I push those down, yeah, I think that'll do it. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just squeezing this to see what the foam will do when it's glued in place. And I think if I do that, wait, am I going on the right one? Nope. So I take out that little V on each side. I think that'll bring his shoulders back. And then I'll transfer that to the pattern if it works. So I do the final one. So I try to do basically the same on both sides. And then that'll bring back his shoulders, and then I'll have to alter that'll bring back his shoulders. And then I'd have to just basically cut a new neck hole, and that should fix that pattern. So let's see what else I don't like. Kind of feel like that needs to be longer. Let's fix that other thing first.
That almost works. they're really pointy.
I think probably this is going to take a lot of more futzing to get this thing to work. I think that might release that a little bit. Let's see. I almost feel like and then what I'll do is I'll take this apart once I get it the way I want it, and then either start from scratch or just modify the pattern I had before to fix it. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more foam back here. Like, it needs that much foam. So what I did was I just stuck a piece of foam in there and traced it so I know what type of wedge I need to fill that space. I'll make two of them real quick. And there's a slight curve on one side of it and it's straight on the other. And it adds about 1 inch of material to the shoulder. Okay, there's that. Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I probably could have gotten that Ben Franklin body to that shape by adding and subtracting from that, but I mean, in the long run, starting from scratch sometimes is a better option.
And I may need to add some material back here again. Leading me to believe that maybe I'm going to have to make a new pattern from scratch, but that's fine. Paper and foam is relatively cheap. Now
the Miss Piggy that I made, the head was based on the Strange Pork prototype that I had. I had the Strange Pork. I had the Strange Pork prototype done and sitting on the desk as I started. So I thought, well, I'll just make clips and make snips and ads and whatnot. And it took about 3 tries to get it where it was, but I don't know. It probably would have been faster to just start from scratch. Okay, yeah, so I do need I need like a half moon of material there. I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm just taking a scrap of foam here and kind of tracing. I'll find a pen. The foam that needs to be added.
A lot of glue.
I was trying to remember just now if when I made Akbar, if his arms were removable, if they were sewn on. If they're removable, I could just go grab his arms and I'd basically have the puppet done. I think he's all one piece though. All right, so it's almost there. I kind of think I need to taper just this part a little bit. I didn't like how it was popping out where it was. Yeah, that's better. It's a lot better. Okay. So I'm about ready to make the next pattern, I think. I think he's just about ready. And I'm just about ready for lunch.
Okay, so that flattened out his the front of his body. He's got the hunch going pretty well. It needs just a little. I keep making these tweaks and then totally negating what I did before, but I think I took too much material back in. Try to bring that down. A little bit more of a hump. Yeah, I think this is it.
I think this is basically the pattern I'm going to use, or what I'm going to use for it. I should before I do anything, I should trace the shape of his bottom of his body in case I do want to make that plug at the bottom. Okay, let me get a piece of paper. And I think it's too far gone to actually use the original pattern, so I think I'll make a brand new one. But it should be a lot easier because it is already pretty much symmetrical. Oh, hey Chase, how's it going? I'm just trying to cut paper here. I think so. I think I will put it. Although I think the body's going to be L200, so I may not have to put boning in it at all. I don't know if I can get a good shot of this. Let's see. So I'm going to pin this right into the paper. Out. I mean, luckily that I haven't had to make any adjustments to the bottom, I don't think. I'm just marking all the darts so I can kind of get it lined up again. Okay. Oh, I didn't work on it at all. I thought about it a lot, and I may actually do it. There's such a the biggest hurdle I have right now is, do I want to draw on this table? Because I have my drafting table and everything. It's all set up in the other room, but there's no camera. So I didn't do it this week, but I am thinking a lot about it. I know the storyline, so I mean, I know the overall storyline I want to do, and so much of it is me just sitting there and with a sketchbook working out the logistics of it. But yeah, it's something's gonna happen. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I ended up working on a paying gig yesterday that they didn't want filmed, so that's why I didn't have it on there. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this guy apart again. I'm gonna follow all the lines that I did before. I do think it's gonna go that. So I want to have the shoulder be more prominent. No, it still didn't. I don't really need that though. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. Cut. Okay. See if I can do it on this side too. See, I don't understand where that's going. Like, there should be a little bit of a curve here to some extent, but doesn't really need it. Okay, well, I'm not going to do that one then. Let's see how this pattern lines up. So it did change a little. I'll show you guys. It did change a little bit from what it was before. Add a little material, took away a little material. I do kind of think it needs that though. I'm going to put that back in. Okay, I'm not following my own rules here. And actually, you know what? I don't know that I need to true it up. I think I can probably just, I mean, that's pretty close. Yeah, I'm just gonna do one side and try not to mark up Zoidberg with my pen. So, lost media. The main thing is all those for Keen Spot. I did a lot of news boxes, and so I did a lot of animated ones. I did one of Sammy and Mayberry doing Gilligan's Island on the front of um, it was like on the SS Minnow doing Gilligan's Island. I did one of Jalea going from robot to human. I did one of it was a parody of the Starship of the opening credits to Star Trek with a new song that Eric did and all that was to the Melonpool theme. Those were all done in Flash, and so when Flash went away, I still have the files. I just can't open them. So that I guess that would be the closest thing to lost media. And there's a lot of bits that I did for the Kevin Smith website that are no longer around. I have, I think, 10 or 12 of those that left of the 22 that I did. But most of them got taken down by YouTube because they use like copyrighted music or whatever. I have a lot of I kept a lot of the archives. The problem is that, a lot of times I can't open up a lot of the archives because they're so out of date. I mean, today, wait, is it today or is it yesterday? Yesterday was the 29th anniversary of when I started Melonpool online. So I guess I have until next year to get it up and running again. So I did conventions. I mean, I still go to conventions. I go more to puppet stuff now, but I stopped going to conventions. I lived in San Diego at the time, so it was real easy for me to go to the San Diego convention, which is the San Diego Comic-Con. And I did okay there from 96 until 2000. And in 2000 was the year that Hollywood discovered San Diego Comic-Con. And in 2000, there was this movie, The Time Machine, which marketed heavily at Comic-Con that year. And I still did pretty well. That was the last year I made any money at doing conventions. And the next year was when Tomb Raider came out, and Angelina Jolie was at Comic-Con that year, and it had enormous, it sold out faster than sold out. The fire department had to keep coming to because they were over capacity on the amount of a safe amount of people that were going to be there. And so that year I didn't make a profit. I actually lost money that year. Because in addition to it being better attended, nobody was stopping by the booths anymore. They started just going straight onto the hall in order to get a place to sit to listen to Angelina Jolie or any of the other material that they had going on there. And so I still did it up until 2008. And I never made money. It was always the same thing. Then the Marvel movies started coming along and everything. And so, again, you couldn't make a living, or you couldn't make a living. You couldn't make any money back. And it was $1,400 to exhibit. So it was getting more and more expensive to exhibit. I was making less and less money. I'd have to take all my vacation time to do it. And so finally, I was like, oh, I don't even know why I'm doing this anymore. I'm just gonna start coming to convention as a fan. And that was when I realized that wasn't as much of a comic fan as I was a fan of making money at convention and meeting the fans. That was the other thing I enjoyed doing. And so I just stopped doing conventions because of that. I've gone a couple of times here and there. And again, the only reason I go is because I'm working the puppets and stuff. Okay. So that's my new pattern. Let me pin this down. I'm gonna do I do Dragon Con. That's probably the closest to a comic convention that I do in Atlanta. I do that one whenever I can. I've been out of work for the last 2 years, so it's harder for me to go to conventions. But I could see doing Dragon Con as doing comics again. Okay, so there's the old one laid over the new one. You can see how much it changed. Not a lot, but it did change. So I think I am going to go to lunch and come back, clean up this place, and then I'll make the final body today. Maybe I'll cover it. Maybe I'll at least get the green shirt on it. And then I will have to figure out the arms, and then I'll make his little frock, and then he's done. Where are the 94 Melonpool puppets? Okay, so Mayberry and Ralph are no more. they self-destructed, and also when I was first starting, I was learning so much so fast that the bodies were halfway decent because my grandmother made those. The heads and the hands were terrible because I made those. So as I learned more, I would remake the heads and the hands, and so I ended up the first 3 Melonpools and the first 3 Ralphs were the same body. I just would pop the head off and put the new head on, and pop the hands off and put the new hands on. And so they when I got to a certain point when I rebuilt it, there was so little left of the original puppets that I just threw those 2 away. I have Sam. Sam's out in my storage locker, and he was made from a blanket, and he's basically fallen apart. But if you look in some of my old on the Melonpool thing, I think there's a website. There's a bit where I show the original Sam versus the new Sam when I finish that one. Then the Sammy is with Chris Gleason, who is the puppeteer of Sammy, and he still has that, and his mom has the second Sammy. And the way those worked was when the original Sammy was made out of synthetic suede. It was the only material I could afford that was even somewhat furry, although it wasn't furry at all. It was just had kind of a furry sheen to it. So I bought, I think, 3 yards of that and built that. And then I took him to Comic-Con that first year. No, I didn't. I made the movie, and then the next year I did Comic-Con, and Clydeen, who was my boss there and funded the first Melonpool book for the comic book, said, "Oh, I want you to make a new Sammy, but I want you to make him furry." So she gave me $80, and I went to the fabric store and found some fur that I bought, I think, 4 yards of, and I've been trying to match that fur ever since. But it's very similar to this fur. Oh, and this is a mess inside, but he's missing an arm rod, and but Yeah, he's pretty much falling apart in there. I can't even get a grip anymore. But yeah. Oh, and his mouth plate's all crunchy. Oh yeah, this guy's not going to see another summer. But yeah, there's Sammy. He's got his little tail. Yeah, this is I think the 4th or 5th one of those I built. And the third one of Sammy, the third Sammy was huge. Well, actually, yeah, the third one ended up with Robin Deibler, who posts sometimes, and number 4 ended up in Chicago and is part of a kids' church and plays the evil rat every once in a while. So. Yeah, I actually have left over from the bear. I have some long pile fur. I can't remember. I think I got that from James Kemp. That the bear, I had 10 yards of it. The bear used up 8 of it. So I have 2 yards left that I think I'm going to build Sammy out of, and then shave away his face so he has the longer fur, the jowls and the hair, and isn't kind of piecemealed like the original ones. I also still have plenty of that fur, the short pile. So I don't know. I have enough fur. I have enough fur to make. I'm out of Sam's fur. I rebuilt him a couple of years ago. He's right here. But yeah, he's in pretty good shape. He was the other, although I gotta fix his eyes. His eyes get really scratched up. But to fix them, I would have to take them off. They're just sewn on and then paint them. So yeah, Sam's a pretty good puppet. If I can find his rod. There it is. Nope. Anyway, it looks like a war zone in here. I've got foam and fur everywhere. Foam everywhere. Fur fleece. So Sam is almost like a terry cloth. He's a furry terry cloth. I can't remember what it was called, but I only found it in light yellow, which is the color he is, and pink. I think I found pink at one point. And I bought about 4 yards of it, and I've used up all of it. I have just a few little pieces of it. Yeah. Have my tub of pieces. So this is what the original, this is a Sammy fur that I have left over. And this is about as much of the Sam fur as I have. You can see it's got a fur to it. It's got some stretch, which I like. But it's a real short pile, light yellow fur. And then this is what I make his ears from. Oh, I got a little bit more. I got a lot of scraps. I guess if I had to make another leg or something, I could do that. But yeah. And here's my most favorite infographic or a little graphic that I found. Let's see if I can get that onto camera. A kid inside of a tub. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Sam is pretty much done. I mean, at least I got a whole puppet. I even have legs for him. Mayberry needs to get his antennas fixed, and then he's pretty much ready to be done. I really want to build. I have Roberta's head. I got her head done. This is probably the one that I need to focus on. She's in pretty good shape. Actually, I'd never put her eyes on. They're just pinned on at this point. But I like this ponytail for her hair. Works pretty well. And I like her eyelashes. The eyelashes are, I believe it's a Diet Dr. Pepper bottle, the 2-liter bottle with felt on top of it that I just cut out into these little shapes to make those eyelashes. No, so I sculpted them out of this really dense, hard foam that BJ had in the shop. I can't remember what it was called. I should ask him again what it was called. But it was almost like a chalky. You know what it reminds me of is there was a Star Trek episode with the Kelvins who they had this thing on their belt that would turn the Enterprise crewmen into these cubes, these little not cubes, they're tetrahedrons, I believe, and then they could crumble them. It was like that material, and so he had a couple blocks of it, and I was able to, just with sandpaper, and I think it was just sandpaper, I sculpted a buck. They have the buck right here. So Mayberry and Sam have the same, and Roberta. This is the buck right here. It's a big buck. And I just, I don't think I can pop this out. Yeah, I don't think I can. This is it. This is the material. You can kind of see it. It's like foam, but you can press it in with your. It's almost like the green foam that you put flowers in. It's almost like that, and you can sculpt it into the shape and whatnot, and make a buck. And then you cover it with a thick, what do you call it? Vacuform, and then you can vacuform over that, and then you have a fat vacuform buck. And so I have enough for, I have enough of these blanks to make. I think I have 2 more that I could make off of that before I have to make more. And I just cut down Sam's to fit his head. I don't know. I have Jalea. I have Jalea right here. She's in pieces, but she needs some work. Yeah, here's Jalea. If anything's gonna get me arrested, it's having this body in this bag here, because she looks like a kid. So here's her head. Here's her body, torso. There she is. And I don't know if her mechs are going to work, but she has one that works her eyes. You can see them work a little bit. She has one that works her mouth, which kind of works. But she was based on the Fettig puppet design. She's got her legs and here's her arm. Here's one of her arms. So she's actually a wig form. She's actually a foam wig form that you can buy at, just at Sally Beauty Supply or whatever. And then I took a sander I cut it in half. I took a sander to it to sculpt it into the shape I wanted. And I think I added some material here for her nose. And then I cut it into halves and then put a wood center in it so I could make a thing. But she's got a handle like the Fettig puppets have, where I wanted to have a real thin neck because that's the problem with building a lot of women puppets is that their necks get so big that it doesn't look like the character anymore. And Julia has such a small head, but see, you pull on it like that, it makes her mouth, and then she's got this little ring that kind of works that makes her eyelids go up and down. But it's really tough to do, and I would rather her head move from up here as opposed to here at the base. And there's really no easy way to attach that to the body. So that's a problem. I thought about building it out of, this thing is kind of close to what I did. I want to do that scene in Star Trek The Next Generation where Julia put this, or where Data put this up to his head when he found Lore, and I kind of wanted to do that. Here are, I never altered them, but here are her pants. These are some pants I found at a thrift store that were the right color. Here's one of her legs that's just seen better days. So this is what happens to reticulated foam if you don't cover it. But she needs more shoulders. I should have figured out how to put shoulders in her because she doesn't have them. Anyway, that's Julia. She also can be played by a real human, which my friend Shelby used to do. Probably could still do it. And then Julie did the voice. Yeah, if you haven't heard that, Chase, look up "Don't Hate Me Because I'm Beautiful." It's a song that my friend Eric wrote and my friend Julie sang that became quite the the internet sensation circa 1999. Rotted away. I don't think any of them have rotted away. I have a Mayberry that's out in. I have like 3 different Mayberries out in my storage. One of them's a little. Usually the mouth plate breaks and the hands break, so that's why I really overbuild both of those things now, because they breaks those when those break down, the rest of the puppet's fine. So some of them I've been able to replace the mouth plate and the hands to give them a little bit more life. But I learned so much about materials every time I build and the way to do things that usually long before they start to rot, I find I end up retiring them anyway. So I have Noda over there too. Yeah, I'll send a copy of it to you. I'll email it to you. The Julia song. Alrighty, I am gonna get out of here. Gotta eat some lunch. So thanks for going with me on this journey to build Zoidberg's body. The next time I come on here, I will make his final body and cover it. We'll see where it goes. Yeah, I like. You just asked me. You say something, and I like to use these the parking signs. I might have one that's more intact. I go to Home Depot or Lowe's or one of those places, and I buy one of these, and then it's just the right thickness of plastic. That I use that, but you can actually glue to it easier than you can a plastic storage bin, which is why I don't use those. I do use storage bins though for the hand plate, because those are a little bit more flexible and they don't shatter like these guys will. I also like that you can cut this with scissors. A lot of puppeteers I know use aircraft ply for the mouth plate, which is more durable, but a couple of things it'll clap when you do it, and it also you have to cut it with a bandsaw, which I kind of like being able to refine this with just a pair of scissors. All right, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later. Thanks again for being with me on this little journey.